Hey guys, this is Sean from AZ Education, and today we're going to do the day 4 of our CELPIP Crash Course. Pretty exciting stuff we got to discuss today. By the way, if you didn't hear the exciting news we had yesterday on day 3, we have partnered with World Vision, and if you guys have any charitable donations, feel free to go on that link from the video yesterday from day 3, and you can also now make donations as part of your learning. It's just optional, but it's a great incentive if you do. Now, let's get started with what we have to do today for CELPIP. We will discuss vocabulary. All right, day 1, you guys did writings. Day 2, you guys did speaking. Now, day 3, yesterday, I asked you guys to review grammar, and I give some really good tips on how you can do that. So, the writing and speaking you guys did. Now you have a suggestion. Now you have a way to review your grammar for writing and speaking. However, now comes the next step. Now it is the vocabulary. So when we do lessons, when we coach our students, and let's say someone purchases a 20-hour package, we start first of all with the first 5 hours or so with the template discussion and explanation and strategies. The next 10 hours-ish are based on feedback. So students write, and that's where we give feedback, and those are the most useful hours. Now the feedback is the only thing that is missing in the crash course because of course we don't have your writings or speaking to look at. For that we have lessons separately. But the first 5 hours of what we do, the strategy discussion and all of that, I have covered that. Feedback a bit, yeah, from the grammar practice that we did yesterday. You can kind of do self-feedback from now on. And the final stage, let's say the last 5 hours of the 20-hour package, if someone books it, we work on the vocabulary. Because once all the basics are fixed, once all the basics are done, you are able to get a score of 8 in CELPIP. So you write in a more than average fashion. You use the right templates, you have perfect grammar, but you'll still get 8. The reason you will not get 9 or more is because you need fancy vocabulary for that. So today we're going to discuss how you can improve your vocab, how you can proofread and start improving it from now on. And also like the short-term and the long-term strategies. Now, if you are having the exam in a month from now, at least 30 days, you should go with this strategy. Go to EnglishVocabularyExercises.com. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, so you go there, and that has a really good word list. That is my favorite website. Again, the link will be in the description. That website has words you can actually use. You know, a lot of word lists are difficult. You can't really put them in writing and speaking. That website has things you can actually use and even communicate with people in daily life. So you want to learn 10 new words each day. The best way to do this is learn 10 new words each day. Make a list of the 10 words and make multiple sentences out of each word. Okay? We at our channel also do this practice weekly. Every week on a Monday, I upload 15 new words on our blog and I upload a video describing those words. But that's not enough if you have a CELPIP exam. You should be learning 10 a day. Okay? So you learn 10 a day, you make multiple sentences with each word that you learn and do it for 30 days. 300 words will be learned in 30 days if you do it properly. And if you do have time, go for 20 words a day. And so on. You wouldn't be able to use all of them, but at least even out of 300, if you can use 10 or 20 in writing and speaking, it's going to make a huge difference. So don't underestimate the power of doing this practice non-stop for a few weeks. If you have the exam in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you shouldn't do that because you wouldn't be able to learn that many words, okay? And especially if you're looking at this video because you're doing a crash course, you have your exam very soon. Again, you can now refer to my other strategies that I'm going to discuss now. So short term, let's talk about the words you want to avoid. This is also short term and long term, by the way. There are 10 words that are cursed when it comes to CELPIP and even IELTS writing and speaking. Examiners don't like these words. I'll tell you these words, get a pen and paper ready, and you want to write down synonyms for that. Because if you use the basic words, you will get a basic mark. And even if it's correctly used, the examiners are not impressed. These words tell the examiner that this is a basic student, doesn't deserve a 9. Okay? So, the first word is good. Never say good. Good is very basic, very common. That's why you shouldn't say it. So good, instead of that, you can say spectacular, excellent, tremendous. Next word is bad. Instead of bad, you can say detrimental. Detrimental means harmful. You can say obnoxious if it is annoying or irritating. And you can say catastrophic. Okay, catastrophic. So like chaotic. Even you can use chaotic as well. Sad. Instead of sad, you should say gloomy, depressed, unsatisfactory. Fancier words. Happy. Instead of happy, you should say glad. The easiest replacement is glad. Every time you can say glad, elated, and exhilarating. This could be used whenever you're mentioning someone is excited or extremely happy. It could be exhilarated. Okay, the next word is big. You can see these are so common, and that's why that's the problem. We don't want to use them. So word number 5 right now is big. Instead of big, you can say huge, large, and let me think, overwhelming. So big could be used not just for structures, but let's say it's a big project, you can say it's an overwhelming project. Small, next word, small. Instead of small, you want to say insignificant. If it's like a small matter, it's unimportant or insignificant. You can say tiny if it's about the size. You can say underestimated if it's, again, a small problem. So it's something that is underestimated by people. The next word is so. Very common to say so. Instead of so, and actually word number, I think we're at 7. Word number 7 and 8 are kind of the same. When we say so and that's why, these two words, avoid them too. Instead of these words, you want to say therefore, hence, as a result. Fancier words. Because, instead of because is very common, you want to say since, due to, or as a consequence of. So since and due to you can pretty much use anytime when you have because. As a consequence of, you would use, let's say, I couldn't eat food because I was working. So I can say as a consequence of working too much, I couldn't eat food. Just replacing because. I don't want to say because too much. And with and, we have discussed conjunctions before. It's on my channel. I've given an exhaustive list there, but I'll give you a little list here. For and, you can say furthermore, likewise, moreover, accordingly, for replacements. And if you want to do a little informal conversation, you can say as well as, on top of that, plus similarly. Okay, so better words to use. Use better words. Don't use basic words. These 10 words that I told you, they're the words of death. If you put them in your writing and speaking, you lose marks. You lose the impression. And especially if you're starting to write or starting to speak, and these are the first words you say, the examiner makes their minds and their mind, and they say, okay, this guy's not worth it. So better to use complex replacements. That brings us to point number 2, complex sentences. Now again, I have made a video on complex sentences. Complex sentences are where you use a sentence and break it into 2 parts. So for me, for example, if I want to say, I want to stay at home and be safe because of the lockdown outside. This is a simple sentence. Now if I use the word given that, see what happens. Given that there's a lockdown outside, comma, I have to stay at home. Okay, so now I said given that at the start of the sentence, and I have broken the sentence into 2 parts. That makes it complex. Few people write like that, and that's why examiners like it. Examiners like unique things. They hate usual things. Don't be usual. So in order to do complex sentences, you need some keywords. Given that is one of them. You can write down the second one, since. The next one you can use considering, concerning, whether. So you can say whether, you can make 2 parts of it. Whether there is a lockdown or not, comma, people still want to have fun. So that's a complex one. I don't know if I said considering, but you can use considering as well. Given that, we have already discussed, and there are a few more. So there's much more detail of complex sentences that I have made in another video. You can check that out for more details. But the sentences, the words that I've given you right now, these 4 or 5 words, 4 to 6 words, they should be more than enough. If you use 2 of these words in your writing task 1 and writing task 2, and In every speaking section you do, use complex sentences at least once in each part. Then your speaking and writing will get much better. Let me repeat this. In every speaking part, you have 8 speaking parts, right? You need to make 8 complex sentences. 1 complex sentence per speaking. In writing, you need to use 2 complex sentences, 2 in task 1, 2 in task 2. That's for CELPIP. This is more than enough to give you a great mark and make a great vocab impression. Now what you want to do is combine this with the template, okay? So you're combining the complex sentences with the template that already exists. I'm going to put the link of my templates again at the bottom of this video, so you can, again, you don't have difficulty finding the templates. There's a video I made where I have explained where to find the template, so I'll put that link also in the description. The final thing is, let me see, connectors. Yes, okay, connectors. So connectors we have discussed pretty much. Instead of and, you can use furthermore, likewise, moreover, accordingly. Instead of firstly and secondly, you can also use these things. Firstly and secondly are bad, and on the one hand, on the second hand, or on the other hand, they're bad too. Everybody says that. So again, let's go to the connectors again. Furthermore, moreover, likewise, also, similarly, other than that, apart from that, what's more, on top of that, moreover, I think I mentioned, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's more, and we have discussed in my other videos about connectors, but all you gotta do is use connectors in the writing templates. Now, writing template, when you see that, what I've explained there, in task 2 of CELPIP, the connectors are already there. You don't need to use more. In task 1 though, in that template, there is an intro and there's a conclusion. So I've made templates on that. I haven't made templates for the body paragraphs for task 1 because they're always different, so I can't make a template. So you try to use some connectors when you're making your own body paragraphs for task 1. Okay, so it's going to be useful there. In speaking, once again, same thing. Just like I recommended, you use 1 complex sentence per speaking, use 1 connector per speaking. A lot of people think we have to use lots of connectors. The more the better, but you actually have very little time in CELPIP, like 1 minute and 90 seconds, so it's not much. So just use 1 connector and 1 complex sentence in each CELPIP speaking part. That is going to give you more vocabulary marks. Okay, so now, guys, what we have done is we have used complex sentences, connectors, replaced all the 10 ugly, very common words with the fancier words. And if you did have extra time and you go over my 30-day practice, which is learn 10 words each day, make sentences out of them, then you'd be replacing a lot of basic words with fancy words as well. Okay? So you combine all of these things and use my templates on top of that, your vocabulary, your structure will come together beautifully. And again, grammar needs to be improved too. And for that, you can go back to my video from yesterday, day 3 of this crash course, and you will learn from there as well how to improve grammar. So you improve grammar, do the right template structure, and make the vocab correct. There should be no reason why you should get a lower mark. Okay. The final thing is, when you are doing this, start proofreading. Writing is going to be very easy for you to improve because when you proofread writing, at least from now on, when you see these 10 words, good, bad, that's why, you're going to fix it. Okay, so you can get rid of all those annoying basic words and put the good ones in there. At the same time, you see some other basic words. Let's say you were saying something like he did a great job, and great is basic too. So now you would think, how can I replace great job? You can say it was a phenomenal performance, right? So look at your writings and brainstorm, like, how could this word be better? How could this word be better? And think like that. Most likely you will use the same words in the exam, and at that point you would know the synonym because you practiced it. So you wouldn't need to think of those words in the exam. So look at writing that way. Speaking, you have to record and listen to it. When you listen and you see a sentence looks very basic, you say in a sentence, this is a small problem. And then you're like, wait, this is so simple, a small problem. And then you go Google synonyms for problem. You can say a small dilemma, a small issue, small technicality. And instead of small, we have discussed, you can say insignificant, underwhelming. So you can, what if that small problem sentence now becomes, this is an insignificant dilemma. Sounds much more fancy, right? So now you can listen to your recordings and analyze, and writings you can proofread and analyze, and use these techniques to help yourselves out, improve that vocab. And by having all these things, my templates, the complex sentences, the connectors, and the fancy words, you would achieve a range of sentences. Range of sentence mark comes in IELTS and CELPIP both. So by doing all of this, you will achieve that too. Try these things out, and I am certain this will help you out. Combine this lesson with all the other 3 days from before, and there are 3 more days remaining. So combine all of this together, you will see you have a whole new level of CELPIP writing and speaking. Next few classes, we're going to discuss reading and listening, so stay tuned. Please subscribe if you feel that I have added any value in your learning. And until next time, talk to you soon.